Chris, I don't know. And let's have this dated reference from the 80s, but have John Cena walk out of the shower and go, yeah, that heel turn, that was nothing. That didn't happen. I wasn't really feeling it. I just was a follower after being a leader my whole life, and it's not who I am. And it was supposedly to pop a rating. I mean, he practically went there.
Yeah.
But I'm back, and Cody, you're going to get your wish. It's going to be the old me, the one who's always been me. Crowd just ate it up in the building. So Wade Barrett went from, at first I was doubtful, but now I believe it. And then they went to him and he goes, we should all be skeptical. It was like a weird kind of turn, like almost someone said in his headset, you went too far saying it's believable. We need to stir conversation. So it's weird. I don't love it, but obviously the possibility that what he's playing into is Cena sincere, or is this a swerve? Which pro wrestling does way, way, way too often, usually for no good reason other than, haha, we surprised you, because obviously a lot of times there's no logic to what end someone did it. Like, it's sort of like the Seth knee injury. Like, to what ends would that be something other than, to be fun to trick people? So I want to talk this out, and I want to get your thoughts. Obviously, we'll talk to the chat and get more feedback in other ways. What do you think, Chris?
If it's gamesmanship, if it's Cena playing in its story, then I'm totally behind the energy of the night, right? They got the crowd where they wanted them. I mean, the crowd probably had a greater response than they even were hoping for. That was thunderous, right? That was salvific, right? That was transcendental. I mean, it was everything you'd want if you're a wrestler. So it had to be bigger than what they thought they'd get. But that can't be all there is. It cannot be simply John Cena saying, hey, I listened to the wrong shoulder and now I'm back. Like, that would be really, really unfortunate if that's the ending to what has been a lightning rod of a heel turn and has gotten a lot of conversation around the world, right? It would just be a terrible way to handle it, I think.
Reports of, but there's been speculation that there'll be a double turn. Ominous 10, very I don't say neglectful, but they've been leaving their options open by not talking a lot about The Rock. You know, I mean, like, people write in articles for me even, and I see it like, John Cena aligned with The Rock and turned heel. And it's like, he didn't align with The Rock. He stood in the ring with Rock and turned heel, but there's no alliance. Cody was offered a job to work for Rock and align with him. Cena was just there. I mean, like, Rock happened to be there, but they haven't really done anything. So I don't even know. Now, there's also a possibility once this is all done, Chris, it's just going to be a mess and we're going to be down on it.
Right.
It's also possible it'll all play out and be like, have our own opinions, but it seems like it was well played out. So yeah, Chris, your thoughts?
They could stick the landing. I'm not at all thinking that we're going to walk out Sunday night with a sense of deflation. But based on what they did tonight, something else has to happen. I think Cena either, hey, you should have seen it coming, right? He wins dirty again on Cody's last chance to get it while he's got the belt, right? I mean, that's the sense of like, this is his last chance to get it off Cena, right? I mean, they haven't said anything like that. I don't think there's been any kind of stipulation, but it would just be really weird to me if there wasn't some kind of further character development with Cena as the heel, because you're right, it's not a double turn anymore. If Cody turns, he's just turning on somebody that everybody's in love with once again, right? Yeah.
Yep. Chris, one side note, the chat room is saying our feed is lagging. Am I lagging for you at all, or are we? Because I'm seeing you crisp and hearing you just fine.
No, I'm the same. I'm hearing you crisp just fine as well.
Yep. So, but like 3, 4, 5 people are saying the feed is lagging. So maybe it's a YouTube thing. I mean, I think my internet is strong and my booster is up. So I'm not sure.
A YouTube thing.
Hopefully we are okay. Yeah. Chris Johnson says, haven't heard a full word in the last 2 minutes. That's not good. But Sci T says it seems to be improving. So we'll keep our eye on that and continue our conversation here. it seems like it might hopefully be being captured. I've got a second screen open here, just watching the feed on a 5-second delay, and everything is crisp and on my side streaming back at me through YouTube. So that little test seems fine. All right, operation move. I don't know. That's and does it just telling really good stories, and who cares if you're tricking people? Like, that's the job of pro wrestling. Isn't to trick people and swerve people. The job of wrestling is to get a crowd to react in a really passionate way to the artful fighting that takes place in the ring. And I think wrestlers and promoters sometimes just long for the 1970s or something in a way that's detrimental. So I just don't know.
All right. So I want to go back to something I said earlier.
Yeah.
I don't think that Cena has to be there has to be a double turn or a swerve back or anything like that. So I want to walk it back and say, I think based on what they did tonight, that what they do Sunday has to be even more thunderous and more crowd manipulating, deflating or not, right? Because what they did tonight was so big that they've got to have something special cooked up for Sunday, I would think. And now they've created this, in my mind, anticipation of, well, what's going to happen Sunday, right? So they have to reward our faith in something very well and logical. Otherwise, we will see through the attempts to return goodwill on a weekend when Triple H has been featured prominently with somebody else, right?
They didn't run from it tonight.
Right, they didn't run from it, but they also, I'm not sure. So,
it was we're referring. Paul Levesque was standing next to President Trump yesterday at the announcement of the new president's physical fitness testing that Trump is bringing back. So, as people joked, the next generation of stand-up comedians have material to work with when they can't do all the pull-ups or hang from the rope for very long and are humiliated in front of their classmates, and the thing that has nothing to do with health, like the things that previous Democratic or presidents did, which is let's talk about nutrition and modern science, and not how long you can hang from a rope as a sign of physical fitness. But like everything else, we're going backwards in time. And Paul Levesque got to stand there for that nonsense. But even worse, he got to stand there while Trump acted like he didn't know what Jeffrey Epstein was bringing little girls to an island for, and he had to stand there. And it's like, I mean, Triple H, Paul Levesque could have been a hero.
Could have.
And I mean,
like this thing.
The chat room is speculating that Cena's turn is legit, and maybe planned all along would be the implication here based on just the speculation, and that The Rock and Travis Scott are going to show up, maybe someone else, and that Rock's going to try to manipulate Cena. Go, hey, wait, what do you mean I abandoned you? I just missed a couple calls. I was busy filming, whatever. But as Cena leaned in on the no rules match you wanted, and the weird part is I feel like he leaned in on like Cody, like saying, Cody, you wanted a no rules match, so guess what? You got to live with it. But he might have wanted to underline it in part because they want to stress that Cody and Cena, while they're fighting, are actually vulnerable to anything happening because there are no rules.
That totally could work. I mean, if Travis Scott and The Rock come back, it at least will close the loop that has been open for for months. I think one thing that could have been interesting if John Cena hadn't had the kind of face turn, if it's legitimate, that he did tonight, was that to have both men enter the weekend with some ambiguity and have the street fight create the possibility for a kind of bloodthirsty turn for Cody, right? Yeah. That would have been nuanced and interesting. They still could do that, I guess. I don't know. What do you hope to see Sunday night?
I want you know what it sounds like I'm avoiding the answer. I want something where when I watch it, I feel like, oh, smart people made smart decisions. This makes sense when we look back. It doesn't feel like a hot shot, desperate short-term move. Or something done for reasons that doesn't serve the audience and the integrity of the characters involved. I don't, the Cena heel turn in the midst of the release of WWE Unreal and Cena on social media giving these like inspirational like mini TED Talks about, you know, you're all great people and I love you and hope you're entertained by me pretending to be a heel. Like, I mean, it's just stopping like barely short of that. Nothing about this has felt believable. And so it's just it's just cosplaying a heel. It's like, you want me to be a heel, it'll be entertaining. And he basically said that also.
Yeah.
So maybe it's part of a master plan, maybe it's not. JC Scooby in the chat says it feels like this Cody Cena in a good way. I just going into Sunday.
Well, what you said is, I think, probably how everyone should consume professional wrestling, is not to go into big weekends and matches thinking my favorite character has to win, but when the match is over, it needs to feel as if that was real life, right? Regardless of who I want to win. I mean, that's kind of what we want, right? We go in wanting our person to win, and if they lose, it's logical. That's how we part of it. The swerve culture that you're talking about, the numbers culture, the metrics culture, I think is going to have a detrimental effect on our ability to make long-term storytelling feel logical if they're going to be willing to break the logic whenever they want to.
And is part of it the metrics just chasing the semi-meaningless social media numbers?
I think so.
that pop up? And I mean, WWE might be sitting around at the end of the year going, boy, did we kill it on social media, as attendance drops, viewership drops, merchandise drops. Maybe not. I mean, things have leveled off. There's some negative metrics, things kind of going the wrong way or wavering in a way right now. It's not a big enough pattern to be, super alarmed, but I don't know. I mean, you look at things and it does feel like they think they have a red hot product that is a kind of fail proof. And that's kind of, when they say wrestling is inevitably cyclical, only because when things are going well, people get lazy or big headed about how great they are and kind of phone it in or make some mistakes or stop realizing that a lot of what is happening that is good is about good decisions from 6, 9, and 18 months ago, and people buy their tickets ahead of time. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying it's, we're there yet, but if Sunday turns out to be a mess and Rock is a culprit, and then you add to it more than half your WWE audience, is not thrilled seeing, Paul Levesque hanging out with Donald Trump as Donald Trump is saying awful things about a heinous person. He's not saying awful things about somebody should be and playing dumb, among other things. I mean, it's just ludicrous. And I mean, there's no room left to act like it's reasonable to think this is a normal person who's honest and should get anyone's support. I'm not going to be one of those capitulator, feckless people who it's so there that clip. That could have said, in all due respect, no.
Opening up to unjust power.
I don't think you can credibly say this wasn't happening. That Vince would often try to exercise his guilt or trying to rationalize his own behavior. And a lot of it in retrospect feels even more obvious. There'd be storylines, about if he'd do a story about, women lie about men having affairs, or women, people who talk about morality on TV, we're going to make them out to be hypocrites. And sometimes he was right about that stuff, but things that were going on the business side or in personal life would manifest in terms of angles, and he would write his version of how he wanted people to see it. And so I think that he's been doing that for a while, and I think sometimes the shades of gray, and I'm using a term I've banned from this show, but I want to do it in this context. And when I say I banned it, because I have to say this, so not everybody hears every show I do. It means so many different things to so many different people. And I'd say 9 out of 10 times when someone said, "Oh, wait, you're against shades of gray," and I said, "Explain what that means," they didn't have they were not even close to what I meant by it. So it's like, let's just stop using that term. It's lost its usefulness.
Yeah.
But it's useful in this sense. I think a bunch of people who are morally ambiguous, to put it kindly, wanted to act like the whole world is just shades of gray, that there aren't actually good people wanting to do good things, that everybody is selfish and in for themselves. It's cutthroat. And if you get it, it's like Jesse Ventura said, by the way, tongue in cheek, it ain't cheating if you don't get caught. And it's only cheating if you get caught. And so I think pro wrestling sometimes has gone down that road. And I think it has hurt, like you say, the storytelling of, there's, and it doesn't always have to be the babyface doesn't always be a hero.
Right.
But when I say a hero, like heroic in every way, you can have flaws, you can be conflicted, you can make mistakes, you can be complicated, you can have an edge to yourself, you can, so that can all be part of the babyface makeup. But the idea is match somebody who's wants to ultimately, I mean, more often than not, the vast majority of the time, it should just be, I want to prove I'm a better wrestler, and you're screwing it up with your cheating. How are we going to find out who the best wrestler is if you're cheating? Like, that should be the genesis foundation of 19 out of 20 feuds, and then everything is easy from there, because then titles matter. It's a developmental wrestler faces this to deserve it.
No,
okay.
I didn't notice that any.
Echoes. I have to disagree, Wade. No fan cares a jelly roll, a babyface chokeslammed a security guard.
Oh.
You're right. They were cheering. That's my problem. How do you tell us? How do you tell a story about good guys and bad guys when the good guys, year after year, week after week, month after year after year, with the whole structure, just acts like that's something that we should cheer? So if that's okay, how do you get heat on the heels for doing something heinous? Because the culture of WWE makes fans not care about that. Now, the culture of the world maybe does too in certain ways, and that's sad. But wrestling has their own, the Superman movie had its own space to have its own canon, its own world it created, and its own story, and they stuck to it. But it is true that fans generally aren't thinking about that. But in their minds, they've just watched an innocent hourly worker trying to do his job get chokeslammed by somebody who we're supposed to cheer. But then those baby faces are trying to get babyface cheers, and the heels are trying to get heat by doing similar things to innocent people. So it's so arbitrary. And Azan, missing the point entirely. Who really cares about security guys in wrestling? Azan, do you hear anything I'm saying? Have you heard the last minute? I'm explaining why. I'm explaining they should. They don't, and they should. That's the point. The fact that they don't is the symptom of the problem, not an excuse to keep doing it, Azan. Please hit rewind and listen to this again. Sorry to be but come on. Yes, Cody's done it too, and I was critical of Cody when he did it.
Yeah.
Azan in the chat said that. Everybody's doing it, Azan. Rewind, re-listen. This isn't the first time it's happened. It's a pattern with WWE, and it drives me nuts because I think it hurts their ability to effectively tell stories.
Well, okay, so if people want to figure out why,
thank you. Azan said I understand your point, so I'll calm down. Thank you, Azan. I had to get so angry. Go ahead, Chris.
But it's the point is, why do these things matter, right? Okay, so what they've did when having Jelly Roll slam this guy to the 7-year-old in the crowd who does not understand what kayfabe is, to whom that 7-year-old is not going to watch WWE Unreal. That is real for them. They've watched somebody they listen to gleefully beat up some.
They WWE doesn't like a little. I didn't start when I was 7, but I wasn't much older than that. But probably
I wouldn't have let my son watch it at 7, but there are 7-year-olds watching it. Right.
For sure. And by the way, there's some 11-year-olds who shouldn't be watching, and some 7-year-olds who probably can. Right. I mean, it's teach parents thing, but I as a rule, I don't think that there should be that if a 7-year-old goes, then if one parent decides one 7-year-old can handle it, that every 7-year-old is fine with it.
Right.
It really, each kid can come away, whatever, thinking differently about it, having a different experience. But it's not just about the kids; it's about the adults who chant. By the way, one of the reasons that when heels are beating up baby faces with their Bronson Reed's doing the tsunami and the crowd chants one more time, they're doing that because they don't take anything seriously.
Right.
They don't take any of this seriously because their security guards who are getting, again, you're like, Wade, why are you talking about security guards? It's symptomatic of a larger problem that's weaved throughout the culture of the way WWE tells their stories. It is tonight. It was the closing seconds of tonight's show. That's why I'm focusing on it. And they are in not blurring the line, but having no kind of constitution to what is a good, decent person's actions versus a villain. You take away the whole point of tsunamis on a babyface. The point of tsunamis on a babyface isn't because it looks cool. It's to create outrage within the immersive environment that you create as a promoter so that fans get worked up about it the same way they do watching movies that they know are scripted or reading a book that they know is fiction. But you have to tell that story well and consistently. And so when crowds are chanting one more time to a tsunami, that is a giveaway that you are doing a horrible job telling your story. Or number two, you need to change how you tell your stories, because having a heel beat up a babyface means nothing. So stop doing it. Stop doing it. The whole point of a heel beating up a babyface is that the crowd boos and wants to see the babyface get revenge. But if the crowds are chanting one more time, they are not paying to see the babyfaces get revenge, because they don't care about that happening, because they know it's fake. They knew it before WWE Unreal. And they can know it's fake, but you can tell a good story that pulls them in, or they can know it's fake and you can reinforce it over and over again with sloppy storytelling and no dividing line between what's right and what's wrong. And that's what they're doing.
Yeah. When Bronson Reed did that to Seth, that one for me was like a iffy, because it felt like a breakout moment and the crowd was behind this thing happening with Bronson Reed. I'll tell you the one that like the crowd was calling Sami Zayn.
Is based upon the audience buying in while they're watching. They don't care about Sammy. They're not going to care about Jimmy either. Right. And so it is a break in the formula of what makes pro wrestling work. Now, they're still drawing good crowds. People are paying money to see it. And so this is not like, this would be a lot easier to sit here, Chris, and us have this discussion if attendance was down to 1,200 people or down 50% from a year ago. But it is the storytelling devices that they use structurally are incompatible with having no sense of right and wrong in what action should be praised and which action shouldn't be, such as a innocent, undersized security guy saying, "Please don't hurt me," being hurt by a babyface for no good reason. That is not a, just objectively speaking, an effective way to tell your stories. Those are in conflict now. So I think it'll catch up to them. It probably already is in some ways.
To what you said about it'd be easier to have the conversation and metrics are going down. I hear that, but I also want to say,
well, they are a little bit, but not sharp.
They are a little bit, but we're also saying, and I think we are right, is to say you're taking the tools that have given you your success, you're destroying them, and you're not rebuilding them with something else. You're just breaking your own tools. And for what? Right. And that's going to catch up in a couple of years when they don't know how to tell meaningful stories anymore, because their entire storytelling architecture was willingly dismantled by themselves.
Yeah. And I give them credit. I talked about the kind of the last type for WWE Unreal was like, this is not a behind the scenes look at anything. It's just showing wrestlers sign autographs. And there was a skit with what the I Show Speed. What was it? Was it I Show Speed? Yeah. Like, and so it's like, that's not taking the inside things. But I give them credit. They didn't want to show clips on SmackDown. And of things, they didn't want to show clips in the sort of within the canon of the storytelling of how the stories are made. They saved it for people who deliberately push play on WWE Unreal. And I'm glad that they did that. I might have hurt a little bit the viewership, but they are pulling the curtain back fully. And I mean, I watched different tonight a little bit, having watched some of WWE Unreal. I mean, I knew how things go. I've been backstage at shows. I've interviewed more bookers and promoters than probably anybody in wrestling history, honestly. And over 35 years plus. And I am watching the show going, oh yeah, I kind of have a more vivid. Yeah, well, I probably took the mask off his show. Yeah, I think a lot's going on with that show.
New with the art form, if they keep going filming for Netflix Unreal and what we're filming for WWE content stuff, so that what we get in Unreal is a kind of conglomeration of, let's say, Cody Rhodes, when he doesn't know whether he's supposed to be Cody Rhodes or Cody Runnels. And there's a fluctuation between the two that allows them to create a new kind of kayfabe, in that what we think is actually real is still not real, but they've woven it. They've done it in a way by forcing the wrestlers themselves to embody their character in a different, more vulnerable way. That's my initial take on it.
Yeah. I hope not, and I don't think that's a good strategy. And I think they need to get back to having an approach the way the people who made the Superman movie do, which is we don't want to watch an actor
Right.
playing a role while we're watching the movie in any way remind us that he's not this character. Like I don't,
yeah.
and I'm not saying you're saying that, but like that has to be the beginning of the mindset. Like go back, just be a wrestler and a promoter in 1978 who didn't tell his wife it's a work, and go back to having the chip on your shoulder that we're not going to pretend it's real outside of the show, but we are going to steadfastly, strictly make everything as real as it can be. And that means it's stuff as simple as the stuff that I harp on, that again, I think it all adds up. Even if individually people go, well, no one thinks about that. Like when there's a camera filming somebody on their phone for no reason.
Right.
And then someone happens to walk in. Well, isn't that convenient? Or MJF at Dynamite on Wednesday, having a whole video prepared for something that Mark Briscoe said that he could not have known with certitude Mark Briscoe would say. Like, it's been done so much, people don't even think that's important anymore. And it is, and it would be amazing if suddenly people woke up with the attitude, or let's not think we're insulting people's intelligence by pretending it's real. Sideways version of it, and it's modern, it's the new version of it. And it is taking a lot of the remaining mystique away in order to make TV stars of the writers and the promoter, and try to show, I think, people in the TV world that we're really good at what we do. Kevin Dunn would always talk about that. Like, we're better than Monday Night Football. They copy from us. I think they just want to show the world, look at how complicated our job is. Right. Give us credit for all the things we do. And they just wanted it on the record. And I think it was about them wanting, for the record, a handful of people point them to it in the industry and go, look at what we do and appreciate what we do. With the veneer and the guise of, oh, this would be a good show to entertain our fans. And I just don't know that fans are better off in real time seeing what Rhea Ripley is really like and how insecure and nervous she is. Like, I don't know. I mean, people love her. Maybe that's a bad example, but like, why take away so much of what we just want to believe is sort of an amplification of who this person is instead of a completely made up version of something that they're not. And I just don't think there's value in showing you that in granular, vivid detail while these people are in their prime trying to get over.
I agree with you. When you say, okay, I don't agree with you when you say there's no value, but maybe I see the value differently. I'm looking at it from a way it's forcing people who are even, who lack critical comprehension skills to consume this content in a way that is convincing them they think they are getting the real thing. I think a lot of people are going to come away from watching that thinking, I got the real thing. All along, they have been successfully lied to. That's interesting in a content like messaging standpoint. And that's what I mean why these wrestlers are sort of not sure who they are. And yet that's being chopped up into content and sold by WWE. That's interesting. So they're in this weird spot where either return to the world that you were talking about, of living into the reality, the story, or go in the opposite direction of the unreal. But I feel like they've been existing in this middle ground, and that hasn't been helpful. That to me has been the wrong kind of suspension of disbelief.
No, I think what you want is mystique, and you want people behind the scenes deciding, can Rhea Ripley portray this character believably? Right. Great. Let's have her consistently show this version of her in context where fans will believe they think they're seeing the real her.
Yeah.
But instead, they want us to really underline this is so behind the scenes. You're going to see how nervous she is. And this was her reputation. When she first got called up, I reported on it, that she was a nervous wreck. And way more nervous and insecure than normal for the big spotlight. It was almost too much for her. She was young. She was good in NXT. It was a safe environment. And there was just something about the size of the main roster. It intimidated her. And that now they've shown that's still the case. So now when she comes out, and she comes out with full of confidence and bravado, for the people who are watching WWE Unreal, that will feel like a put on persona, where until then, it was simply a report by me years ago. It wasn't really a thing people talked about. And now it is it part of canon that she Are we gonna have Wade, the commentators being like, Rhea Ripley's very nervous backstage, but I tell you, when her music hits, the adrenaline flows. Is that, do we have to deal with that now?
I think,
are they going to incorporate like all this stuff? Are we going to? Jacob Fatu giggled like a kid who got 3 candy bars on Halloween instead of just one when he got to get someone's who speaks his mind to cops. I mean, it was endearing. It was adorable. Like, oh, I'm so excited. But it was like now it's not inconsistent with who he is as a character. It's just a side of him that was shown that recolors how I think an average viewer feels about him, because he's sitting around giggling like a schoolgirl about getting an autograph of somebody. He's a wrestler, showed up in WWE, and now he's a mark for autographs for people who's watched on TV for years. And that is who he always was, but we didn't know that, and now we do. And how does that change the cool factor, the street tough factor that he had that so few wrestlers have? Was it worth including that to show us how we're really taking it behind the scenes, see these people when their guard is down and they're not playing their persona? Is the value of this niche one-off series dropping worth showing additional sides to these characters? Because it's not that it has to contradict to still not get in the way of the momentum in the lane that they were in.
Can you imagine a value in it? And if so, is that, you say more of that on your
well, there's value in it if it's part of a master plan, and it's not done for if it's not done because, oh, this is adorable, look at Jacob Fatu going so against character by giggling and marking out like a little kid to get an autograph. If it's part of a master plan where they said, someone said, Paul Levesque, should we include this? He goes, oh yeah, because we want people to know this about him, because as a babyface, I think it's important to show that, yes, while he stands up to cops and while he's a badass and he spent time in jail, we want fans to think he's one of them. Yeah. That he does think it's really cool that he's in this. Like, if it is thought through and it's part of a plan, okay, I might disagree with it, I might agree with it, but it's part of a plan. What I don't want them to do is show how behind the scenes series is indiscriminately and just expose everything if it makes for good TV. This is not independent journalists given free access to tell a story however they want. This is a WWE in-house propaganda piece that should have a purpose that goes beyond the people who produced it being super proud of how much they pulled the curtain back and how many wrestlers they showed out of character are so different than the ones that they want fans buying into when they see them live. So that's it's a good thing if it doesn't if it isn't counterproductive to trying to sell these people for who they are.
I do love the prioritization given to gorilla position as the absolute single most important thing to happen on any night of wrestling, even more important than the wrestlers, right? Like, wait, how does that work? Yeah.
It's I mean, people who have never been on TV, Ed Koskey, some of these writers, and then it's, Bruce Pritchard and Paul Levesque who miss being on TV. And it's like, look at us. We are the control room. And I was worried about that from the beginning. I mean, we saw it when Triple H went in the Hall of Fame. Nobody got more attention going to the Hall of Fame than him. It was just like, oh, yeah. And, about Levesque being the guy who would credit that he paid attention to this stuff, but he'd be like in the truck overseeing, like, this is all the stuff that's in the back issues, the person tour, wrestling, just, kind of did their own thing, talking about backstage stuff, which is always a propaganda piece through the lens that they want to tell you. We have decades of reporting of just tidbits in the newswire of all this stuff and about what these people were like and what they were doing going back to the late 80s and 90s. And Levesque was very attentive to his image, and in part because he was trying to catch up to Austin and Rock. He wanted to be the third equal guy and kind of like Seth, unlike Roman and Lesnar. I'm the full-time guy. I'm here all the time. But he was very, very into his image, and he had, huge ego. And I don't say that like he's the only one. You got to have a huge ego to decide people should pay to see me wearing wrestling trunks, fighting and cutting promos. But it drove him to success. It served him well. But when the spotlight is over, like, make sure that if you miss it, you have the power to put yourself back in the spotlight, that it's being done in the right way. And that it's not being done for your own, that you feel like an empty vessel if you're not the center of attention on camera anymore. And I'm not saying that was the case with this for sure, or that it's a main thing. But as you bring up, the gorilla position, it did sort of feel like, when the wrestlers are in the ring, the real stars of the show are the people meticulously telling every wrestler what to do every second that they're doing it. Everything you see in the ring, these wrestlers don't have the not autonomy, the agency to do what they want. Like, imagine, like Bruiser Brody, Michael Hayes and Terry Gordy, Ric Flair. If you had watched a documentary on them and like, oh, when Ric Flair goes woo, you know what happens? Someone in the back goes, Rick, go woo. Michael Hayes, time to do the strut. Terry Gordy, time, like, if Bruiser Brody bark a little slower because the mics are over my, and Brody goes from roof to roof. Right. Like, if we saw that, I'm sorry, the mystique of Bruiser Brody's gone. Stan Hansen, swing the bell a little higher, and like, come on. I mean, this idea that we're just gonna expose to everybody. I still remember that at a taping I went to, a lot of Raw SmackDown, and Jake Hager, Swagger, Jack Swagger. Yeah. He comes out to the ring and he does this little thing where his arms are out and he kind of bounces. And then the camera guy went up to him and goes, "We didn't catch it, redo it." And he had already been relaxing in the corner and I'm watching and he goes, "Oh, okay." So he picked it up midstream, like, and he went back into it. And I was like, you just did that in front of 10,000 people. You expose the wrestlers that the camera people aren't there to capture the wrestlers, but the wrestlers are there to dance when they're told to dance.
Yep.
And so the effect of this, in order for Bruce Pritchard, Michael Hayes, Ed Cos, like Paul Levesque especially, to have their moment in the spotlight, get to show how great they are at the job they do, they have exposed that the stars in the ring are just puppets with strings.
Yeah.
And fans can watch this and go, that was really fascinating. But in the end, when they watch wrestlers now, the ones who see Unreal, they are going to watch wrestlers thinking, I'm cheering for somebody who's doing what they're told to do and how to do it by people in Gorilla.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
I mean, and did fans know to a degree that was happening? Yes, but to this degree?
Yeah.
With this level of granular detail, with a referee telling them, we need to skip that move in the match now because we're running long. Like, do we really want to think when matches are going on, I wonder if he's going to get to his finisher, or I wonder if the time is they've run long and they won't be able to do their signature move. That's what we're going to be thinking of now because WWE put it out there on Netflix. This isn't some book that's going to be read by 20,000 people. Like read start to finish by a fraction of that. This is
what I do for my day job. I had 65-year-old Netflix show Unreal change how people perceive yesterday, 2 days ago, called WWE the Disney of sports land.
Yeah.
And he's equating with this sort of mechanical genius that you push buttons and things go, but it's come from the brainchild of this one.
Criticism, but I also think criticism sounds like it's a subjective opinion about something that you don't like. And what I'm saying is, it's not whether I think it's a good or bad decision or right or wrong. It just will have this effect. Yeah. So if that is factually true, how do you feel about it? Now, you might disagree. I shouldn't say disagree. You might think it doesn't matter much. People get wrapped up in it. They're not going to be thinking about it. Wade, you're overstating how much it's there. But I think wrestlers having agency, if I'm a wrestling promoter and I want to make money in the easiest way possible, I want to seem like, as a promoter, I am as weak as is possible in my job. It's the Adam Pearce thing. Like, I can't control these guys. It's stressing me out. And I would want to portray that the cameras are here to film these stars. Right. These are the stars. These are great athletes. They're larger than life personalities. People pay to see them. They are rock stars. And all we do is we hire camera people and we point it at them and we let them do their thing. That's the facade of the canon of what we do that I want to not break. Especially I don't want to break it so that I can be the star of my own reality series. Yeah. And lose sight of what is important or rationalize when I put my head on the pillow at night. Well, this is where things are going. People know. So we might as well show them how impressive it is, what goes into this end product. And I'm like, to what ends and why? Yeah. Why would they could have done a lot of things on Netflix and to make the stars seem like the wrestlers seem like the stars. And this was a show that said the wrestlers are there with strings being pulled, telling them what to do, what not to do, and how to do it, and when to do it. through a referee telling them, and that their personas that you see when they come through that curtain, so to speak, are oftentimes the polar opposite of how they feel before they get out there. It's not criticism. I just am stating a fact. I think this has a detrimental effect on people's ability to immerse themselves in this product, and I think it for doing it. I don't think they'd see it as we don't take it. It is. I followed the entirety of Vince McMahon Jr.'s run as a fan initially for a few years, and then starting the Torch newsletter. But I've been reading about behind the scenes stuff, dating back to the beginning of Vince's expansion, and I was in the center of it. I mean, the Twin Cities was the center of the WWF versus AWA war. It was.
Sure.
I think it would be. I don't want to say unanimous, but I think people would agree who followed all of Vince McMahon going to other territories that the AWA won, because that's where Hogan was from, and he basically was running main events. AWA was running against the AWA, and the AWA was trying to run head-to-head same night, draw bigger crowds with a whole new crop of wrestlers. It was I got to experience it in real time as a fan. Vince invading a territory and them going head-to-head, and Vince ultimately winning, but it wasn't a clean sweep. So I have I got to, when the old Titan Towers opened 35 years ago, I got to go on a tour of it. Vince McMahon had invited me and a handful of other people, and we got a tour of the production facilities, got to hang out where Sean Mooney and Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan and Lord Alfred Hayes hung out. I walked right past Lord Alfred Hayes sitting in his windowless office looking all grumpy. And Sean Mooney very obliviously said, "Oh, I bet you'd like to have this job sometime." And I won't say what I said to him to that, but it was kind of a brash young thing. Had something to do with I wouldn't want the pay cut, but okay, I said it. And I've interviewed Sean since then, and he's a fun guy. But it was I got to see them in a the development of their, from working inside a little truck to the setup they have now, and the whole way I've covered all the advancements in the way they present their product, and they're an amazing production. I mean, it is NFL Super Bowl level, but they do it every week. They do it every month with PLEs, and I don't blame them for wanting to show people how proud they are of what goes into it. I don't blame them for wanting that. I blame them for giving in and doing it, because I think ultimately the way it was done has made things you can't unsee. And the main thing is taking away the sense that wrestlers are autonomous people with agency, instead of just puppets on strings who are being told exactly what to do and when to do it and what not to do and why through referee earpieces. I mean, people had a vague notion sometimes that happened. It felt like every wrestler there is just showing up. And in WWE, the culture's been there for a while. In WWE, love doing this. When Sasha Banks show, I'm so excited. This is my dream come true to be a WWE superstar. As long as she's been around, predating it a little bit, Bradoff. And I don't exactly.
And not look at how amazing our genius is. But it's to serve these awesome people.
Even though no one thinks of it that way, the promoter should be the promoter should be grateful that they have use of this talent. But because wrestlers now don't come to WWE like they did in the territory days as established stars with agency and autonomy, self-made characters, wrestlers who were trained in all these different parts of the country and the world, and they honed their skills. And by the time WWF got them, they were a finished product. That's what Hulk Hogan was. George Schreier and I talked about it for well over an hour in a 2-part Wade Keller hotline for VIP members, talking about the birth of Hulkamania. And yesterday in the Wade Keller hotline for VIP members, I talked for over an hour about the New York Times and the Washington Post and how they completely missed certain really key aspects of the Hulk Hogan story. And one of them was that he was a finished product that Vince McMahon got, and Vince McMahon just amplified it. And they got that all wrong. There's one line in one of the two papers goes, and for 3 years he went other places, like after he left the WWF and came back, with no awareness that during those 3 years, that's when Hulkamania was born and refined and turned into this turnkey product Vince could hire. But WWF now, WWE, or WWF then, WWE now is different. WWE recruits, trains internally everybody, but the key should not be to that shouldn't be part of the canon of the way they present wrestlers. Is we've built them from the beginning, and they're grateful that they made it through our system, and now they're going to do exactly as Roman Reigns said famously, I just want to do what I'm told and get rich. And wrestlers, the framework isn't there now, where wrestlers go, I want to prove I'm the best. Well, they say it, I want to prove I'm the best in the ring, but too much of the culture of the presentation is they just dream of being at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
They point at the sign. I just want a WrestleMania moment, and they've gone way too far in that direction, and they're paying a price.
Yeah. You almost devalue yourself by trying to tell this story that you're so awesome that everybody's being sycophantic to come to you. But really what you're telling us is that the people you want us to watch are kind of lame.
Yep.
And are themselves sycophants to your system. And
Yep.
those are not people that engender me want to wear their t-shirts.
Market gorilla position t-shirts. I don't know. So
wait, you know what? What's going to eventually happen is you're probably going to be able to go to a live event and pay dollars to have a headset that taps into their headsets. It's what they do at NASCAR.
Extra say sexist and other. They shouldn't do it.
Right.
But
now they will.
Yeah, maybe.
It's our fault.
Yeah. All right. Let's do our latest show introduction ever. This is the Wade Keller. This is the Wade Keller Pro Wrestling Post Show for Friday, August 1st, 2025. I'm Wade Keller, host of the show. If you haven't picked up on it by now, I've been covering wrestling a long time, and I do so in the pages of the Pro Wrestling Torch newsletter. Paper copy. Here's the latest. You can subscribe to the paper copy, pwtorch.com/govip, and have something to look forward to. Go to your mailbox. A very personal piece I wrote on, I got to get this right, on the back page on Hulkamania. And the opening line is, I need my readers. I am not sure if I was the original Hulkamaniac, but I can't rule it out either.
Wow.
It's my voice, and it's true. And then I get into being phone pals with Hogan and how I feel about how that ended. Read it. It's not a big piece. It's half page on the back. But VIP members, go read end notes with Wade Keller. My personal thoughts on Hulk Hogan. A lot of what I've done has been kind of journalistic, talking about his, the scandals the last 10 years, his drawing power, all that stuff. But on a personal level, as a wrestler, he meant something to me as a kid, before I did the Torch, and as a journalist, I had an interesting experiences with him. So I talked about some of those. By the way, the New York Times and Washington Post didn't talk about Hulk Hogan testifying at Vince McMahon's steroid trial either. I was witness to that. I was in the courtroom for that in Long Island. On Long Island. I can't say in Long Island. People yell at me. It's on Long Island. They largely left that out too. Anyway, I talked for well over an hour on a Wade Keller hotline last night for VIP members about the press coverage. New York Times, Washington Post, newspapers of record. Oh man, if they had sent me their copy and said, Wade, will you read over this? We know you know more about this than we do. I would have had some good suggestions, but I instead gave them a week later for VIP members. So I'm plugging VIP. Go VIP, everybody. There's good value in it. It's next level content in so many different ways. pwtorch.com/govip. New content, exclusive content, podcast-wise. The newsletter I held up is available in a PDF format and in all text formats. You can read it on your phone or put it on your tablet and flip through the pages in its actual, kind of magazine-style presentation. And there's exclusive articles just about every week from Greg Parks. That's where Ellen Cunningham, Ellen 4L's exclusive columns go. Sean Radican's exclusive columns. Rich Fan. Who am I leaving out? There's tons of great stuff in there. And that is part of a full VIP membership. And you can get details again at pwtorch.com/govip. A full VIP membership includes customizable podcast feeds for each of our shows or clusters of shows. You can separate current events from retro and flashback content. So you can kind of, depending on the mood you're in, or just not have the new shows run off the feed because we're putting up stuff from 18 years ago covering the media coverage of the Chris Benoit family tragedy. You can split them into individual feeds and customize them. It's really slick and almost dummy proof from a tech standpoint. I mean, you just click a link. There's no advanced settings or passwords. It's really nicely set up. We have other options too through Patreon and Spotify. You can get a 7-day free trial. Just search PWTorch VIP in Patreon or Spotify, and that will give you a chance to unlock our VIP shows and the ad-free, the commercial-free versions of these shows. You can also search PWTorch in your Apple Podcast app. There'll be a charcoal gray logo that says PWTorch VIP. Subscribe to that for free, and you'll get free samples of VIP shows. And then you can upgrade within the app using your Apple account and unlock all the VIP shows. So lots of ways to sign up. It's all laid out on our main sign-up page, pwtorch.com/govip. Great time to go VIP. We've done 7-8 days in a row of Wade Keller hotlines, VIP exclusive on Hogan. We have more to come. Some really cool stuff coming up, by the way, on Hogan. I don't know if we'll do it every day, but we've got some stuff over the next week that we'll be doing also on Hogan. and more things in the works. He's a big enough name. I wanted to do really comprehensive coverage of him, and I'll put our coverage up against anyone's so far. So check that out. And I know probably if you're a VIP member listening to this, you probably haven't been able to keep up on it, but do make a point to catch up on it. I think we're going to create a separate podcast feed just for our Hogan coverage too. So if you don't get to it and it runs off your feed, I don't want you to lose out on an easy way to go back to it. All right. So, but we're here to actually, believe it or not, I was worried, is there going to be enough on SmackDown for us to talk for an hour? And we've talked for an hour now. We talked about Cena and Cody. We haven't gotten into the other, and Jelly Roll beating up a poor
that's right.
little security guy. So there's other stuff on the show. Not much, but other stuff we'll talk about. So we will get into that. This is the SmackDown Post Show. Chris Adams is my co-host. Chris, welcome. Tell people about what you do for the Torch.
Hits and misses for Friday Night SmackDown, and I do a show with Kurt Cadet, aka Conscious Kurt, aka the vegan you can believe in. We do a show that's a VIP show called Catching the Culture, where we look at a movie and a significant either match or storyline from wrestling and figure out how they correspond with each other, how they've been picking up on what's going on in pop culture or in the world. We have a lot of fun together. In fact, I was just on Kurt's show that he does with his old college roommates. So the friendship is
that's awesome.
We've just been having a blast. So
Catching
the Culture.
All right. That is a VIP exclusive show. And you can, again, told you I'll go VIP earlier. We do have the PWTorch Daily Cast. Search PWTorch in your podcast app to subscribe. That has different hosts doing different theme shows every day of the week, acknowledging WWE, the All Elite Conversation Club, Wrestling Coast to Coast, and this weekend, among other shows. And this weekend, Brandon LeClaire and Greg Parks will have you covered with our live, right here on our YouTube channel if you're watching us live. They'll be hosting the post shows after SummerSlam, night 1 and night 2. And those will be available to download as a podcast on the PWTorch Daily Cast feed. Yes, Chris.
I'll be on night 2. So
sweet.
If you like what I have to say, join up for that night. If you don't like what I have to say, well, tune in for Brandon and just ignore what I have to say. Yeah.
So Brandon and Greg hosting night 1, and news to me, I didn't talk to Brandon yet about it, but I figured he was working on it. You will be co-hosting with Brandon on Sunday night. By the way, speaking of which, I will be recording the VIP exclusive. I'll be hosting the VIP exclusive roundtable podcast that we've been doing for 20 plus years after pay-per-views, all available on demand. If you become a VIP member, go back to like 2004 pay-per-views all the way through now. And Todd Martin will be with me both nights. Rich Van will be with us on the second night. And on the first night, Nick Barbatti making his return. We haven't heard from him in a long time. And he is going to be joining Todd and me to review SummerSlam. And I know people were like Nick and Tom's Intercontinental Adventure on the PWTorch Daily Cast feed. And Nick has not been on a show with me for a while, and I'm excited to have him on. And we'll see what he has to say about night 1 of SummerSlam along with Todd and me. That will go on the VIP feed. And so go VIP. We'll be recording that while Brandon is hosting Wrestling Night in America, so you can watch on YouTube Live or download both shows later on. The Wrestling Night in America, though, is available to everybody for free on the PWTorch Daily Cast. So if we're not in your budget or you're not going VIP, still a ton of content this weekend. And then join me live on PWTorch.com as I'll be doing a write-up on SummerSlam, just as I did on SmackDown tonight with my analysis as the show progresses. Okay, one other thing, please like this show. Please comment below, and please subscribe to our channel. As always, we are looking for volunteers to help round out our coverage. It is a never-ending challenge to try to cover every nook and cranny of pro wrestling. And from the very beginning, even pre-internet, I've always relied on a group of people to contribute. Pro Wrestling Torch newsletter in the late 80s was known for having columnists, lots of different voices writing for it. You can go back to the late 80s and see that with your own eyes. All the different voices that I brought in with different areas of expertise and experience writing about it. And that's been the brand of the Torch, a big part of the brand. And you can be part of that. That's where everybody you see co-hosting started off pretty much. So email me if you're interested in helping out. I'll let you know where we're looking, or I'll find out what your interests are and see if something works out. KellerWade@gmail.com. KellerWade@gmail.com is the place to write for me for kind of that admin stuff, or really anything else. If you want to write into the show, that's wadekellerpodcast@gmail.com. And that's just for an email to be read on the air for us to respond to. All right. I think that's enough. So let's I know there's more from SmackDown we can talk about. We'll let the callers lead the way on that. We got Jason from Australia up first.
Nice.
Jason, welcome. Thanks for your patience on hold all this time. I said more than I wanted to or maybe should have about WWE Unreal and my thoughts on it, because a lot of those thoughts I've been thinking about all week, and I wanted to say for the Keller Hotline. Chris, I'm blaming you, but I have even more to
you, man. I'm sorry.
I have more to say about this specific. I'm going to do a Keller Hotline talking about specific wrestlers and whether I think they were helped or hurt and what stood out, and even other personalities. But Jason, welcome.
No, thanks, Wade and Chris. With WWE Unreal, I've chosen not to watch the program. Not out of some major principle or whatever. It just I feel if I watch that, it's going to take away my enjoyment from the main shows.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm exercising my free choice and say I don't want to watch it. So if other people watch it and it actually increases their enjoyment, good luck to them. That's great. But for me, it's just a little bit too much. And I still like to be in that moment and think everything that is happening without it being scripted. And I've seen enough as it is. You know what I mean? Even on social media, you get clips of it trying to avoid it. So that's my opinion on that. Just quickly regarding, I apologize. I was listening on the YouTube feed, but as you know, that's been going in and out. Regarding John Cena, I know I've been 50-50 on the heel turn. There's some things I've liked, some things I haven't. I guess the question is, if he's going to, if this is not a ruse and he has turned back to being the real John Cena and a babyface, was the explanation that he gave worthy? And did it sort of make sense? And for me, I can buy into what he was saying, talking about how he was under the influence of other people, really, that it wasn't the real him. And that has been a criticism of this heel turn, that people don't believe that it's him. And he played into that, saying it wasn't really me. So I think that sort of ticked the box for a lot of people. And I think he gave enough for me to believe in what he was saying. And as I said last week, Wade and Chris, I thought, even if this hasn't turned out the way they thought, I sort of think they left hints with the opponents that John Cena's had along the way, sort of hinting that they still believe the real John Cena was beneath this. So it's not like they hadn't addressed that. So I feel like they've left breadcrumbs along the way for people to listen to this promo and think, yes, it makes sense. I get what he's saying. We can excuse his behavior. It was a little run he's had, but now he's back to being the real John Cena. For me, I think they did enough. But for other people, I think I can still understand why they'd still be like, nah, this whole thing's been a big mess.
Is there a chance, I'm going to put this out here, that John Cena intentionally was a bad heel all this time because of tonight? That the story was always going to be, someone put the idea in my head, and it'll make for good TV. I mean, and this is so weird. Like, it'll make for good TV for me to insult my fans and break my children's hearts. But I'm game for it because I'm here to be a loyal person who wants to help ratings and help create interesting television. It goes back to once he said on TV, I hope we entertained you tonight. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You're a wrestler trying to win matches. Entertainment's the byproduct of you trying to win matches, but you shouldn't consciously be trying to entertain us and talking about it. That's ridiculous. And I know for some people, like, what? How can you say it's ridiculous? Wrestlers are there to entertain us. Yes, but the presupposition of them being there is not to entertain us. It's we are entertained by watching them try to win fights. And you break a pact by acknowledging, no, we're just having matches to entertain you. You never want to actually say that. I mean, it's like, you're in wedding vows going, I am in love with you because selfishly you give me financial security and a couple things I won't talk about on the show, and you check boxes of what I want in a partner, but you do it in a way that sounds like clinical. Instead of just your heart speaking. It's like this brain checking off things that would make a good partner. Like, you don't talk about that way. Just let us enjoy it. So was Cena so robotic and lacking believability, not because he's a bad actor or it was a hack idea to begin with, or he knew nobody would buy it, so he just sort of had fun with these little ideas. But instead it was, Jason, what you just said, I'm going to turn babyface after a few months. And my explanation is going to be, my heart was never in this. I just did it because it was someone's idea. Now, I think it's terrible storytelling and super meta in a ridiculously just dumb way. But Jason, do you think? And then I'll throw it. And then Chris, you respond too. Do you think it's possible in the back of his mind he's like, I'm going to be a bad heel, so it'll be more believable when I turn babyface again?
couple of things on that. I don't know if he was necessary. There were some things that I liked about his heel turn and other things I didn't.
Oh, sure. Me too. Yeah.
I think this was giving people sort of like, listen, you always wanted me to turn heel. I'm just going to give you something, a bit of a taste of what things could have been like had I turned heel in 2011 and 2012 when it really would have been hot, when it would have been more appropriate as far as on screen is concerned. So it's like he gave people a bit of a taste. But the ironic thing is, we all talked about how The Rock's involvement in this was a bit messy and didn't have to be with this John Cena's heel turn. It actually makes sense now that he was playing it off as if it was The Rock who got into his head to say, you should do this. So now he can refer back, and he's almost blaming The Rock for this, saying, somebody told me that this would make great TV. So if The Rock wanted Cody Rhodes to sell his soul to him and Cody said no, well, Cena can't really sell his soul to Rock because Cena has everything. So The Rock would have influenced Cena and say, hey, man, why don't you turn against the fans and make for great TV, do something different? Cena's like, oh, maybe I might do that. So actually The Rock's involvement in this, given the explanation that Cena gave, it kind of makes sense. Like, I think you can make sense of that The Rock in this way was a bad influence to Cena.
But his phrasing was, I now realize 5 months ago I flushed it out on the toilet by chasing false glory when I bought into somebody's idea to make shocking TV.
Yeah, The Rock wanted him to do that.
Of course. Yeah, of course. But my issue with that is he bought into somebody's idea to make shocking TV. What Cena should have said is, I bought into somebody's idea that my best chance to succeed and become a world champion and break the record was to listen to them, and they polluted my mind about what the fans meant to me. And if you watch me say bad things about you guys over the last 5 months, some weeks I kind of was buying into it because it was in my ear, but other times I really wasn't, and I was going through the motions, but I felt I had gone too far. But there's always been this sense of regret. He could have been human and layered, but instead he went meta, Jason. Mm-hmm. He said, somebody told me it will make shocking TV. This is like bad WCW at its worst crap, which is they don't understand there's a narrative structure to wrestling, and it is, you're not there to make television entertaining. You're there to win titles. You're there to get rich and famous and successful, and that has to be what drives every character's motivations. And Cena, who I again have said this many times, mega successful, but in the bottom fourth of top guys when it comes to wrestling IQ and instincts of top guys over the years, bottom fourth easily in terms of how I think he perceives the business and his approach to it. And this is an example of it. I think a really savvy, high IQ main eventer, which, by the way, Hulk Hogan and Steve Austin were two of them, would have said, wait, I can't say it was someone's idea of shocking TV. I have to say it was someone's idea. Someone planted in my head. The fans were holding me back. And I bought into it.
Yeah. He could have added more to it.
Take away the shocking TV thing. It's not add to, it's subtract and replace. Sorry, Jason.
But I know what you're saying, but at the same time, he's not throwing The Rock under the bus, but he's kind of, I think we're all assuming he's talking about The Rock here, that The Rock got into his ear storyline wise and said, you should do this. And he also talked about, he also talked about Travis Scott too. So they're acknowledging sort of the mistakes they made and trying to own it and have it make sense. So I agree with what you're saying, Wade. I don't think it's as bad as what you might be putting it from a pure principle point of view, but I think they're cleaning up as much as they can with Cena, and I can buy into The Rock getting into Cena's head, not selling his soul, but trying to do outlandish things. And I think the fans buy into it because they're like, listen, we never really bought into this Cena thing. We're still cheering him. The Rock doesn't have a lot of goodwill with fans at the moment because I feel like he's just coming in there and changing things. So if he can put it on The Rock, it's going to work for people.
I heard a lot of things that you agreed with me on. The only thing that is ringing my ear is, but I don't think it's as bad as you thought, Wade. And I just want to know, what did you think wasn't as bad as I said?
I know what you're saying, but look, I agree with what you're coming from a pure principle point of view where they shouldn't be saying these type of things and that is too meta. And I get that from a pure principle point of view. You shouldn't do that. But in this particular circumstance with Cena and The Rock and everything that they've sort of outlined and showing us behind the scenes and everything, it kind of does work a little bit, even though it shouldn't, because they've set the parameters. They've set the parameters for it.
Right, but because all politicians lie doesn't mean that the next politician should be off the hook for lying. Like, just because a bunch of mistakes were made about going meta doesn't mean we should then grandfather in or consider it a feature instead of a flaw, that there's more meta. I'm saying take out the line that I bought into somebody's idea to make shocking TV. John Cena should be in the business of setting a record for title wins and having a successful run. And you don't add to shocking TV, you eliminate shocking TV. Everything unravels when you start putting into canon that wrestlers are here to create entertaining TV. Fans don't want to watch wrestlers try to help stock prices for TKO. They want to buy into a storyline that's not driven by ratings or metrics. They want to buy into a storyline that there's something the wrestler is fighting for that they're buying into that matters, and it's championships and showing they're the best and fighting in a way that makes you either want to cheer them or boo them as they try to achieve those goals. Talking about shocking TV is basically saying what we do on TV is to entertain you, to try to draw ratings and make more money for ultra rich people. And that is not a way to market pro wrestling, Jason. You don't add to that. You take it out completely, and you don't justify it because, well, we had that YouTube video with Rock, so we have to now make it part of canon on TV. No, we don't. We can stop anytime, and we ought to. Today is the best day to stop doing it. Yesterday was better. 2 days ago was even better. But continuing it because of inertia or precedent is wrong.
And I do agree with what you're saying, but to me, it was kind of like the toothpaste is out of the tube, so to speak, the way they laid it out. So I agree with what you're saying in principle, but in this circumstance, I see why he said it. And fans are like, yeah, we get it. It was The Rock. He influenced you. He wanted to make shocking TV. You went along with it. And also, to me, I think it was sort of like a throwaway line that he probably didn't think about. But the fans actually knew what he was talking about. But you're like, on the principle, he shouldn't be saying that to begin with. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. I like when he says they left me alone trying to pretend to be something I'm not, I scratch that off on the script and I say, John Cena, what you need to say is they got in my ear, they turned me against the fans, and I went out there after they left me alone with that thought in my mind, and I said things that even as I said them, I didn't believe. But they made me think it was true, but deep down I knew it wasn't. And the longer it's gone on, the more it's eaten me up. And I realized that the fans are not the problem. It's the people who are in my ear. And just because I'm a little slower and I know I'm at the end of my career is not a reason to blame the fans or use shortcuts. And I want to apologize because I won some of my matches that I should be proud of winning, but I'm not proud of them because I use low blows. I took advantage of other people's distractions. And those are wins on the record book, but they're ones I'm not proud of. And Cody, when I see you on Sunday, I want to win that I'm proud of, and I'm going to try my hardest. But if I lose, I'm going to lose without cheating failing me. I'm going to lose because playing by giving it my best shot. It was now it's a no rules match. This doesn't work really as ideally as you should. But say I want to win with honor within the parameters of what we're going in to do, and no more low blows, and I don't want anyone's help. I mean, to me, it's objectively, indisputably better to have that as your narrative structure on a TV show than talking about what Cena does. And there's people in wrestling, I know it. They just think the toothpaste is out of the tube, so let's lean into it. And they end up with a convoluted product that contradicts itself. And it is never too late to just, like, I don't like the toothpaste out of the tube thing because this is something where you can just shift and do things right. And there's nothing you have to shove back in a tube. You just start doing things the right way starting today, and things will be better in a month and even better in a year and definitely better in 3 years. Chris.
Yeah, it's inconsistent with everything that Cena's character, both on screen and off screen, has said since January. I'm here for a title. I'm here to get number 17. That's what I'm here for. At no point did this man ever mention shocking TV or ratings or anything like that. And so for him to now say, well, that's what I did. But in reality, it could have just been that you did it because you got the title. It feels like a way for them to try to retrofit genius into something that was undercooked.
Yep. Jason, jump on in, back in.
No, look, I agree with what you're saying. I guess from their point of view is that it doesn't matter how we get there as long as we get there, and the fans are now back on Cena's side unanimously, and they're buying into the fact that he was influenced by the people. That's what I reckon their attitude is.
Jason, I don't think they thought that there's another way to do it. I don't think they have anybody in that company who has the agency, feels they have the agency to speak up. I think the people making these decisions would listen to this, and they would either go, that makes no sense to me, it might as well be French, or they'd be like, oh, crap, we really have lost our way. Why isn't anyone who's on our payroll telling us this stuff? Because what those guys are saying is exactly what we should be doing, and we really have lost our way. I don't know what Cena's response would be listening to this, but I don't believe that the people making decisions, Cena, Levesque, or whatever, even though Levesque's been watching as long as I have, or a little longer, and studied this business and some of the same people and recognizes the great promoters of the past and why they were successful. I think he's lost his way because he's in the middle of this groupthink mentality of a bunch of people going, it's new, it's everybody, it's social media exposes everything. And so I remember my job. Ed Ferrara was great. Ed Ferrara was Vince Russo's writing partner during the peak ratings period for Raw, and then some really awful WCW and TNA.
Mhm.
And Ed told me once on a podcast, well, everyone knows it's fake, so it would be insulting to pretend it's real on our TV shows. And I'm paraphrasing. And I was like, no, that's just like, I can't disagree with anything more strongly in wrestling. Your job is to make people believe for an hour or 2 hours. Give them a world they can immerse themselves in. That's where you're going to make your money. No one's going to feel insulted because you're making them believe. That's what fans want. They want to believe. And they will respect you and appreciate you. And their day will be better because you haven't reminded them over and over again it's not real. But it is so not on the radar of the current inertia of the people. They all think they need to be modern. They all think they don't want to be left behind. Kayfabe is dead. It's one of the dumbest phrases anybody can say in any context. Kayfabe is dead. It isn't. That doesn't even mean anything. It's not that it is or isn't. It's an empty phrase, kind of like Shades of Grey. People there's a reason sports pages were not covering wrestling in the 1950s, and they were snarky about it because everybody knows it's been fake forever. The difference isn't Kayfabe is dead. The difference is the mystique is gone, and it's the wrestlers and promoters who have done it on an amplified scale for short-term gain or ego boost, and that's what WWE Unreal is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I chose not to watch it because,
yes.
I think people crave the mystique. I
do too.
People want it. They want to believe. But just moving forward to SummerSlam, just talking about SummerSlam as a whole, with Gunther and CM Punk going on last. I mean, I know you don't like to spoil things, Wade, but there seems to be a general consensus that this Seth Rollins injury has been a work all along. Mm-hmm. If that's the case, and Seth Rollins has said storyline-wise that he always wants to prevent CM Punk from winning the championship. I mean, could we see Seth come back and cost Punk the championship in this match against Gunther and CM Punk? Because that's where I'm leaning towards. And,
of course.
I know
everybody, Jason, everybody is speculating on that. I mean,
okay. I'm not trying to sound special here, but what I'm trying to say is that I know we saw it in AEW, but for Seth to fake this and trick CM Punk, he could use the line that CM Punk used, that the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing people he didn't exist. I mean, Seth could throw this back at Punk. Just when you think I'm out, I'm there for you. So.
I think you're right. I don't think it's a spoiler because it's such, and I'm not saying this to be, I don't think everybody needs to know everything that's going on social media or on every podcast. Nobody can listen to every podcast or be on social media all the time. I'm just saying everybody is speculating about Seth coming back tomorrow night because it's the obvious plot point, the way WWE has portrayed this. They haven't shown surgery footage. They didn't show him on every other wrestler. They show him in the hospital after surgery or during surgery, which is gross, but it's like, hey, look how real this is. We haven't gotten any of that. We just get Paul Heyman cryptically going, he's going to be gone indefinitely. We don't know how long he'll be gone. And they had to give that up because John Pollock reported at WrestlePost, oh yeah, I heard they were going to do an injury. They're going to do a fake injury angle, essentially. And so they just, there was no way. And it's dumb to do in the first. It's like when Punk showed up and poor Drew McIntyre to pretend he was really mad, but he was taking cues from a guy at ringside about how to act angry, and it got out by a fan cam. It's just nonsense. They need to stop trying to trick fans. Their job isn't to trick people; it's to make money. Just stop it. I've been saying this for 25 years. It's just been one of the worst things that wrestlers and wrestling promoters try to do is they think their pride isn't in how many tickets they sell; it's in how many people they tricked. And it's just so counterproductive. So, yes, I think Seth. I think the injury is fake. Now, I thought it was ridiculous they would do it because I didn't see to what ends. Like that was my, and it might not. When I say that's my flaw wasn't that there isn't ends. My flaw in my thinking was that they would think there had to be. And we'll find out tomorrow night if that happens. How Seth faking a knee injury or exaggerating a real one, however they tell the story. What advantage does it actually give him? Because if it's just about misdirection, haha, fans, you thought he was hurt, but he's not. How does that work in the canon of the story? If wrestling were real, what advantage did Seth get from faking it that he couldn't have gotten through not faking it?
Right.
And there has to be an answer to that. And I don't have all the answers. Maybe they thought it through. Paul Heyman's part of this. He's really smart. Hopefully they thought it through. Hopefully they don't think that doesn't matter. All that matters is we tricked people into thinking something wasn't real or was real that wasn't. And I'm sorry, that shouldn't be the goal of anybody's in wrestling, is to make them think something is real that isn't. In a meta sense, what you want is a consistency start to finish of a believable, immersive product that just feels real the whole way. But nothing should feel more real than other things. Just the world exists and it's real. Jason, you wanted to jump in.
Well, I think storyline wise, see, people go to then why did Seth lose the match to LA Knight? Why did he allow himself to lose that match straight away? And the explanation that would be because he's a revolutionist, because he's a visionary. Sometimes you have to lose a battle in order to win a war.
Right.
And he was prepared to do that. So he will take the so-called loss against LA Knight for a greater good. Also, by removing himself, it gave Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker a chance to step up to show if they could be leaders too. And because of Seth not being there, it allowed them to do that.
So Jason, pause.
Even more.
Jason, pause. And remember your next up, but this is important. Seth could have accomplished both of those things. He could have beaten LA Knight or tried to, and then said, I'm going away for a few weeks, Bronson and Braun. I need to meditate in the mountains to find out my next vision, whatever. And he could let them become leaders. So instead, he decided to fake a knee injury in a way that was meant to look very real. And I don't think the storyline is he tricked Paul Heyman, Bronson, and Braun into thinking he really... What?
Not Paul. Only Braun and Bronson.
Right,
Only
but
they didn't know. Paul was in on it.
Sure. So now there's a breakdown of trust within this new faction, and they're gonna break up before they really get rolling, which maybe is their story. Maybe it'll be a great story. But or maybe the story would be, Seth, is that Bronson and Braun would be like, oh my God, you're a genius, But I think you've put more thought into it than they have, but I think you're coming up with rationalizations that they will think isn't necessary. My issue isn't what you said, and this is where you're getting to it. What advantage is it for Seth to stop CM Punk from being world champion by pretending to have a knee injury that he doesn't have? That's what I care about.
So he can set up that line that the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing people he didn't exist. It's for a great line and to stitch up CM Punk and to stitch up the audience.
How does that help him if this is a real world, Jason, to stop CM Punk from being champion?
Well, you're not meant to answer that question because it's not a real world. And I know that's an infuriating answer. I'm being a smartass by saying it. But no, it's an infuriating answer. But you're right to answer that. But that's kind of like, we're just going to let that slide because we've got a greater story here. Seth's tricked everyone. Once again, he screwed CM Punk. He's a
How did he trick people? What ends was the trick?
By faking an injury and making people believe that he was injured.
But okay, that's the trick. What purpose did it serve?
To lull everyone into a false sense of security.
So what advantage does he have Saturday night by people thinking he's injured that gives him an advantage to stop Punk from winning the title that would not have existed if people just thought he was healthy? I'm not saying there's not an answer.
It's another shocking moment for him to come back. If people think he's injured, then there's no chance of him cashing in, because if he's not injured, then there's every chance that he could cash in at that match. So then they would be more on guard in the match. But if they think he's not there, they're going to be lulled into a false sense of security. They're not thinking at it. It's not in the back of their minds.
So he's allowing Punk to be more focused on winning the title than he would be if he was worried about looking behind his back at Seth Rollins. This is counterproductive. So it's going to help Punk win.
Wait, I'm only trying to answer what they have laid out. You know what I mean? Like, this is these are the ingredients they've given me. I'm trying to bake the cake with the ingredients that they've given me here.
I am not saying there isn't a way they might be able to tie this all together. I just don't see it yet. But I'm not saying it's impossible. As we kind of float ideas here, I have yet to hear one where someone goes, well, wait, here's the obvious thing you're missing. Seth, like if someone said, well, Seth can show up at ringside on crutches and therefore Punk is going to XYZ that he wouldn't have if Seth wasn't on crutches. And that's like, I just want someone to tell me that, and maybe they've thought it through and it'll make sense. But my fear, Jason, based on precedent and pattern, is they don't think what I'm asking is important. They just think it's about shocking moments. It's about tricking people. And I am going to speak out against that no matter how much that's happening in wrestling. I'm going to speak out against that. It is not that is not something that we should just accept as a given, or that it's not counterproductive. Chris, you want to add anything?
Yeah. I think it's the whole moments notion that they're booking towards moments.
Yes,
towards
very
ratings.
good point. Yep.
And the only way they can do that is by actually convincing the audience and tricking the audience. But I think they actually think they're smarter than they really are, right? Because
I
we see
100% think that's
we
true.
see through the like
I think
okay,
they're really smart in a lot of ways,
yeah.
but in this realm, I think
I was
they
being
think they're smart.
charitable.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was being gracious. Yeah. They think they're doing something crazy by having us all think. They had Seth do fan filmed footage of him in a knee brace walking on crutches with his daughter
Yep.
that Becky Lynch filmed and put on social media.
Yep.
So they think they're doing this thing to trick us so that it's exciting for us when really we know that he's cashing in on somebody. Just tell us that he left or whatever. We don't need to be tricked. We know it's coming.
And they haven't even gotten to lean in on it because they're
Right.
going only halfway with the injury.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's I think where it feels like, look, you don't need to trick us because that is insulting to our intelligence when you think you can trick us, but really it's just the same old.
And I agree with that, but like the joke is on. I don't feel insulted by it. I just feel like, why are you guys not doing what'll make you the most money? Like, if you think you can trick me and you can, or what? I don't care about that. But personally, I just like, if you trick me, good for you. If you try and fail, I'm not insulted by it. I just am looking at you going, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? Why are you trying to like? It's like I can't come up with an analogy, but like, if your job is to build a car and repair cars, and you have a window at your car shop and the customer is watching you apparently fix a car, but in reality you're building a model ship. Like, and it looks like you're fixing a car, but you're building a model ship.
Yeah.
And then when you're done, after they sit there in the waiting room for an hour, you go, look, I built a model ship. Haha, joke's on you. Right. Well, now I'm not coming back to your car shop because you decided to trick me instead of fix my freaking car. I got someplace to go. Like, why? Like, where in their mind is tricking fans what they wake up dreaming of doing? I'm sorry that they don't get to be a promoter in 1971 where people bought into Bruno Sammartino more, even though they were wondering, why doesn't Sports Page cover this? And why does everybody who doesn't watch wrestling tell me it's fake? I don't care. Bruno looks real to me, and I'm going to buy into it. And promoters worked hard for it. They want to be that promoter again, but they do the opposite by breaking down all the mystique. For complicated reasons, some thought out and some out of inertia. Jason, we're getting a lot of background noise, so I muted you. So I'm unmuting
No, I
you
apologize for that. No, because I'm
that's
just
okay.
sitting in my car and there's a lot of rain because it's like winter over here. So I'll make it quick, right? Because I'll finish off. Alistair Black, right? Alistair Black put on a brutal beatdown of Damian Priest, right? So he's clearly a heel. If Cody is successful against John Cena, can you guys see Alistair Black being boosted up as a main event heel? And what do they have to do in order to get in there? What did you think about that tonight?
I just love, Alistair more than anything. All the other things I talk about, the gender reveal party that made people go, who does Cody think he is? And, Brandy, when they did the gender, it's like people just rolled their eyes at this guy who seems so full of himself. And I solved racism, like whatever. There's silly things Cody did that I think chipped away at people thinking he was like his feet were on the ground. And that he, I think people thought Cody thinks he floats over his bed. He doesn't, sink into it with gravity at night. There was a little bit of that he gave off, but that contributed to the fans siding with Black instead of him in AEW. That was like the real like turning point to crowd reaction to him. It'd be really kind of ballsy of WWE to go, let's play with fire again. If they want Cody to remain a babyface, and defend against Alistair Black. I think Alistair Black is talented enough. He should be in main events, but there's something about him that never gets to main events that maybe we're going to find out even when they get behind him. There's just something missing about him. But at least, 5 years ago, people thought he was super cool and it hurt Cody. Maybe they see it as a challenge to prove that's not going to happen to us because we're smarter than Tony Khan. Or maybe just Cody learned a lesson from what happened and we're going to do it differently. Or maybe Aleister Black's like, I know what went wrong. Let's not do this. Let's do this. And they want to do it right. I mean, when we look at the lay of the land, it seems like a good place to go. I mean, I think there's other options too. Chris?
I'm really enjoying Aleister Black. I think the uniqueness that he has positions himself, in a spotlight per se. His body looks differently, right? The way he carries himself, the way he moves, the kinds of art that he has. Like, I'm into tattoos, so I find all of that visually really interesting. That could, Jason, to your point, play off sort of the the white meat baby face of Cody Rhodes, right? Yeah, there's some visual stuff that could be awesome there. I wasn't watching when they were going at it in AEW, so I'm intrigued if that were to happen here.
Yeah. Jason, what else? Anything else?
Yeah, no, I just think with Aleister Black, for me, I've always thought it's like sometimes he's a babyface and sometimes he's a heel. I think they should just go all in on him as a heel and just take it from there. But I would imagine that maybe if Cody wins, it'll be Drew McIntyre. He'll be first off the rank. But in any event, I thought it was a good use of, I mean, Damian Priest, fan favorite, has done well. And Aleister Black took him out quite strongly. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. No, I'll leave it at that, guys. Thanks for the conversation.
Thanks,
Enjoy
Jason. Yeah, good stuff.
We'll speak soon. Good on you. See ya.
Perfect. Thanks.
Yeah.
All right, let's bring Dr. Doom into the conversation. Dr. Doom,
Nice.
welcome. PWTorch subscriber for decades, as his tagline says. Appreciate it very much.
And you guys can hear me, right?
Yeah, we can.
Just making sure.
Yeah.
So, so I was just thinking this wasn't what I was going to bring up, but
Dr. Doom, can you shift your head a little so it's on camera? I don't want to look at just one of your eyes while we talk.
I got you. My bad.
Cool. All right. Thanks.
The thing about Seth Rollins turning heel, because I've agreed with you, and while you were arguing with Jason from Australia, I was trying to figure out a possible reason that might make sense. And what came to me was, I don't know if you watch baseball that much, but Dennis Eckersley against Kirk Gibson in the A's it was the World Series, right? So if I'm trying to win a game and this player is hurt, he can't play, I have a certain level of confidence. That's what they said. Then all of a sudden he comes out of the medical room. That might lower my confidence, and that might make me serve up a home run ball that loses us the World Series. What do you think?
So the scenario, and this is good, Dr. Doom. The scenario is Seth comes out before the match or after the bell rings. Stands on the entrance.
No.
Well, let me give you my scenario first, because my thought is in my head, and then you can alter it. Absolutely. He comes out right before the ring announcements or right after ring announcements, and he walks out there in crutches, and then he throws him down, takes off the knee brace, and goes, "Guess what, punk? I'm not hurt, and I got this briefcase. Good luck against Gunther. Now that I've messed with your head, because you didn't think I would be able to cash in, and now I'm telling you, I'm hovering over everything that happens, because my job is to make sure you don't walk out of here with the title." I don't know if that's what you. Obviously, it sounds like that's not what you specifically had in mind, but that's a scenario where the mind game maybe could work. So, Dr. Doom, give me what you thought.
Yeah, no, and I hear what you're saying. So, like, what happened? And again, I was 1989. I didn't even watch it, but he wasn't supposed to play in the game at all. He was unavailable for the game,
right? And
then all of a sudden, in the bottom of the ninth inning, they said Kirk Gibson is coming out, and then he hit a home run to win the game.
Yep.
And Kurt, the pitcher, might have said, "Oh, I wasn't expecting this. Yes, I should have been prepared for all outcomes, but I wasn't." And I'm so flustered by this outcome that it's going to lower my.
So what's the scenario with Seth? What, like, pretend it's real? You're hearing Heyman and Seth talk about their plan. What's their plan?
No. CM Punk is a person who believes that there's 0% chance that Seth Rollins is going to appear.
Right.
He's clearly hurt. He lost to LA Knight. There's no chance at all. I don't have to factor that in at all, that Seth Rollins, my arch nemesis, might make an appearance and ruin my.
But what does that? No. But why does that matter? You're stopping short of what I need to hear, which is how does that give Seth and Heyman an advantage to stop Punk from winning if he doesn't reveal he's not injured before the match starts or during the match?
Yeah, no, and I got you, because I knew your argument was very nuanced. I thought I had you, but I was thinking through.
In a way you have, but in a way you have me. You just didn't articulate it enough to finish. You didn't finish the job on me. You have a scenario of the psychology.
Because if I appear out of the blue, I have a better chance of capitalizing on the surprise. The element of surprise increases my chances of winning, like Steiner math. If you know that I'm just not hurt, my percentage winning might be 20%. But if I want
to give your scenario its time in the spotlight in the best, most convincing version of it, so that I can disassemble the best version of it.
Please do.
So Chris, go ahead. I know you're itching to get in here.
Well, no, I mean, I can actually, I'm seeing the connection point. when Dr. Doom, before you came on, Wade and I were both real down on the injury angle, right?
I still am.
Still am, right?
Okay. Just for the record, you use a past tense. I'm not there yet.
Okay, yeah. Well, we were definitely then, still are now. Yeah, Wade definitely is. But what you were able to help Wade get to, and I think me get to, was the injury angle works for me only if Seth reveals himself before to throw Gunther off, and then he cash in if he needs to or what have you.
Throw
But
Punk or
still,
Gunther off?
to throw Punk off.
Oh, you said Gunther. Just making sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah, misspoke. Like coming out of the medical room, taking the brace off, I'm ready to go, that kind of thing. But why bother going through all of that if he wouldn't just cash in on whoever has the belt at the end? Right?
So
yeah.
My question is, let's lay this out. Gunther and Punk are fighting. Punk thinks Seth is injured. He can't cash in. Okay. So he wrestles Gunther, and he tries to win the title, and maybe he does. Now, another scenario. Punk, the bell rings, Punk is wrestling Gunther, and Punk is thinking, Seth might cash in. He's not hurt. Why is he going to be any less effective beating Gunther? Because he thinks Seth is healthy versus he thinks Seth is hurt. I don't think that is self-evident enough to be a reason to concoct this plot, Heyman and Seth, because they think, again, I've said from the beginning, to what ends? When the idea was this is fake. To what ends is Seth pretending to be really hurt, losing to LA Knight, and stepping away for weeks? Why is Punk wrestling Gunther thinking Seth can't cash in afterwards or can cash in afterwards going to change Punk's strategy or his resilience or his ability to kick out or his ability to apply an Anaconda Vice? Unless Chris Park says don't do it, we don't have time. I'm still not there, Dr. Doom.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And just for the record, I think it's a stupid angle to begin with. And my friend told me it was the worst. I was like, why would they do that? He just got beat by Alina. But if I'm trying to sort of explain it away, there is a certain sense of confidence. If I think for instance, there's another one in sports, Willis Reed. This is way before I was even alive. But the Knicks, he came out with a broken leg, well, not really, and then he scored the first couple points of the game, and then they won the championship because the other team wasn't expecting this guy who was hurt to come out, and it affected their psyche. So that's sort of what it doesn't make logical sense.
So actually, Dr. Doom, I want to jump in and help. I want to do run and help here. I think. So what if Seth goes, I'm cashing in when the match begins? He's not trying to do the lame Punk is hurt. He just won the title. I'm going to take it from him. He's going, it's a triple threat. I'm in this. I'm healthy. Punk prepared for Gunther. Gunther prepared for Punk. And now Seth, no one's thinking Seth's going to cash in any way. Most would think he'd cash in at the end, but there's always a possibility you cash in during Naomi. So Seth injects himself into the match at the beginning or midstream, not after it ends. And Gunther and Punk look at each other like, oh, crap. They look at each other like, we weren't planning for this. And that's your NBA and Major League Baseball scenario. So as long as the throwing them off the scent isn't, because to me, I'm thinking primarily Punk and Gunther are going to have a match, and then Seth's going to come out on crutches and then go, ha, I'm not hurt. Well, okay, but you could have just, here I am, I'm cashing in. What difference does it make? But if he actually participates in the match fully, that is something mentally and strategically Punk and Gunther wouldn't have been prepared for. Being beat up and having a guy come out on crutches and tear it off, or not come out on crutches and stomp you, either way, he's still at an advantage and he can beat you. But if it's early or mid-match, now there is an advantage, and maybe then in sort of canon, it does make sense for Seth and Heyman to concoct the story. So we talk long enough, and maybe now, Chris, I might be on board with this.
You might be. I mean, the heist of the century, he turned it into a triple threat, right? So if they're trying to recall what they did at WrestleMania, then having it be a triple threat makes sense than a cowardly cash in at the end.
Yeah.
Okay,
right.
maybe.
What else, Dr. Doom? People who stuck around to the end of near the end of the show here
So it's probably gonna. I'm just gonna ask you this quick question, Mr. Keller, because it's based off what you talk about with Unreal. Like it reminds me of Hard Knocks from from NFL.
Oh yeah, they still want to be that
backstage. Yeah. But those guys are actually NFL players trying to make a roster. They aren't actually portraying the opposite of what they are. And I actually, I did actually have a doctorate, and I taught a finance class about how the WWE stock was being overpriced based off the social media engagement. So do you ever think yourself that, letting people behind the scenes as a writer, as you do, has led to them that I mean, I'm sure you've had thoughts about it, and it's probably too late to talk about it, but I think about that all the time, about how it's like WWE is the most social engaged sport. Before it was Twitter was mainly rap and wrestling before it became mainstream. So
it's good and bad. Like Steve,
yeah,
when Stephen Colbert did his first show after Paramount Plus, the new owners pulled the plug on the show and said it was because it was losing money, and not because he tore into them for capitulating and being feckless. As Kamala Harris on Colbert 1 or 2 nights ago just goes, I thought Trump was going to be bad, but I thought the institutions and the checks and balances that people wouldn't just roll over for this guy. I mean, look at what he's doing, and all they care about is not upsetting the king and having him take revenge on them. And there's all this capitulation from all these feckless people who should have power standing up to him, and they're not. And she's just, tell she's just disheartened and dismayed, as a lot of us are. And the idea of I want to get to your social media point, and then I'll tie it together maybe. They look at the social media numbers as a metric that is instant and a sugar rush. Oh, look what we did yesterday. That's an instant yay. It's like the playing a video game on your phone and you get ding ding ding, you get extra points. It's like it doesn't actually improve your life, but it gives you that little dopamine rush. So a lot of what wrestling strategy is corporately is dopamine rushes, or little sugar rush as I call it. And so Colbert talked about social media, tying it back to him, that he said on the show when he was first back on the air after the show was canceled, and he goes, yeah, it's you guys' fault because you don't watch the show when I'm on at 11:30. You're looking at your phones in the morning, brushing your teeth. You're looking at the best stuff I did and we don't make any money. The implication, we don't make any money from that. But CBS is all, hey, look at these numbers. All these Colbert beat Kimmel and views. Right, but it drove them out of business essentially in terms of making money, because had they said the only way to watch Colbert's great monologues, political satire, he is a genius. And by the way, one of the nicest guys in show business by every single account. Super smart. Back on the Daily Show, he's amazing. I was not sold on him as a host at first, and he has gotten so good, and he's just so good. If the only way to watch him was on CBS, the ratings would be better. But their thinking was, and I remember WWE execs going, and we're up against the clock, so I apologize for that because we got to end before the 2 hour mark. The executive said, we don't know how we're going to make money, but we know we need to be in the game. So we don't know to what ends we're going to do it because everybody else is doing it. But everyone else is doing it for this non-revenue generating thing. Now, that said, so many people don't have cable. They follow WWE through social media clips and all that. You can't not do it, but there's an indiscriminate just, oh, Raw's over, you don't have cable? Don't worry, we're going to give you this condensed highlight package that's going to give you everything you would have gotten, basically, if you sat around for 3 hours watching commercials. And so that balance isn't struck. And Dr. Doom, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you finish. I didn't want to get on the soapbox. I'm glad you had an answer. I don't want to get you into that soapbox or whatever. Yeah. Go on too long. So I appreciate, as always, Chris Adams, the gentleman, Chris Adams. I was on one time with Wade's other host, and I thought he was the gentleman, Chris Adams.
That's right.
And I was very embarrassed.
I called you out. I humiliated you.
Glad to talk to you.
Oh,
you guys take care.
Thanks, Dr. Doom.
Hey,
appreciate
nice
your support over there.
Dr. Doom.
Yeah. All right, cool. Chris, there's a lot we didn't talk about, and I really am up against the clock, but I want to get your, and I mean this, 15 seconds, because I'm going to end the show without a sign-off if we're not quick here. What did you think of Mr. Iguano and Psycho Clown? Was that too silly, too Chikara, it's the Miracle on 34th Street fight or whatever they do, or is this kind of fun and it's a slice of wrestling?
It was It was one toke over the line because the match itself had problems. Had it been a perfectly executed match, I think it would have been much more consumable.
Yep. Fair enough. All right. We will sign off there. I mean, really, I think we covered this. It wasn't a ton on the show, but on the Wade Keller Outline for VIP members, I'm going to start to finish run on the show, get my thoughts on everything, the little stuff that we didn't get to today. We did so much big picture stuff. Goodfella 1422 says, lots of good takes tonight. My brain is in a good pretzel. Cheers, host. Cheers, chat. Enjoy SummerSlam. Derek Mitchell says, the new regime under TKO, in my opinion, with a lot of experience from Ari Emanuel, Mark Shapiro, and Nick Khan, former agents in Hollywood, are sometimes outthinking themselves and not serving the fans. Yeah. A couple of things there. Chris, thanks so much. We'll hear from you Sunday night, right after SummerSlam?
Yep.
Night 2. All right. Thanks, everybody. Go VIP. You're missing out on so much. Don't miss out on some of our best work and catch up on decades of archives and podcasts and radio shows. It is on your screen, pwtorch.com/govip.